Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Dad Speak, a show where real dads share their stories about being present in their child's lives with the goal of raising responsible adults. I am your host, Sarah McClure, and my guest today is Robert West, aka Bob, aka Gloves. Gloves and I met over 20 years ago. We worked together, became friends for life. We played golf together, and he's just a fantastic person. He's a great dad, a husband, brother, uncle, and friend. Today, we're going to talk to him about the influence that his mother had in his life to make him the man that he is today. Welcome, Gloves. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right. You are the oldest of four brothers. You have three daughters. Tell us about growing up as the oldest in the family of all boys.
Yes, I am. I'm the oldest. I'm the patriarch of the family now.
Okay. So when you were growing up, did you feel it was your responsibility to take care of your younger brothers, or did your mother and dad tell you you had to be responsible for them?
That was instilled in me as being the oldest from my mother and my stepfather, that I was responsible for my siblings.
And what happens if they did something under your watch? Who got
Uh,
punished, them or you?
I was responsible for knowing what they was doing and where they were going and any kind of trouble they got in, I was supposed to know because they supposed to check with me. I supposed to check with them, and that was just something that was instilled in me.
Okay. How much older are you from your brothers? Five?
Uh, my brother Mike, I'm like 2 years older than him. My brother Tone, I'm like 4 years older than him. My brother Costello, I'm like 6 years older than him.
Okay. All right. So you got a family, you had a family of boys, and then you end up having three girls. How was that? How was that
And,
being the dad to the three girls, and you used to having, guys and stuff? How was
yeah,
that
yeah,
growing?
Yeah, I was raised looking after my brothers. So I wanted a son, but it didn't turn out. I had all girls, and that's the wonderful thing in my life
All right.
is having these girls.
Now you told me a story one time. You get your daughter all dressed up for school, and she's looking really, really good, and either one of the parents or the teachers say, "Mr. West, I noticed something, and I want to give you a little help." Tell me about that story.
My oldest daughter, uh, her mother lives in Alabama, and I actually she was moving back and forth, and I asked, "Can I keep her?" And I end up keeping her, so I end up raising her. So I used to dress her, and my dressing skills is real good. And I used to do her hair, and I used to drop her off at school in the morning, and she meet with her little friends, and the mothers was there, and the one lady said, "Oh, Mr. West, you do a good job in dressing your daughter, but can I do her hair for you?" And I said, "What's wrong with her hair?" She said, "You're not doing a good job." You know, so I actually encouraged my cousins to start doing her hair for me.
Okay.
But I used to braid them myself, in real nice tight braids, and I thought I was doing pretty good, but it turned out that I was just doing all right, turning her into a little boy or something.
Oh Lord. Oh my. So now I came from. I'm from Alabama, but I ended up coming here to Detroit because my aunt got sick. One of my aunts was sick. I was too young. I was two, so I got dropped off in Maple Heights, Ohio, to live with my aunt and her husband for like 3 years until I turned five, old enough to come to school here in Detroit. Um, my brothers were old enough, you know. So I started off in the South, and then I ended up in Detroit. Did you start off in the South? and end up in Detroit as well?
My family moved here in 1968 from Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
And that's when my mother and my stepfather had got together, and he's from Detroit, and we all moved here in 1968 when I remember the Tigers won the World Series, and been here ever since.
All right.
I was the oldest, and my brothers was younger. Uh, uh, and my mother and father stayed together for a while, and that didn't work out, and then we end up being just with my mother.
Okay.
And my mother was a very amazing person. Uh, she worked, and she stayed on each and every one of us about our schooling, about cleaning, and explaining to us everything that she do as a woman, boy should do as a man. You know, that come from cooking, cleaning, washing, sewing, ironing, your yard work, garbage. That's our responsibility as being a young man to go and be a grown man. So
Mm.
we all had to be that way. And on top of that, I had to be responsible for my brothers to do all that on top of me doing all that. So and she was just an amazing woman. And a lot of the time they say a woman can't raise a man. To me, it's not true
Okay.
because I end up being a police officer. My brother Mike ended up being an electrician and a certified chef. My brother Antonio ended up being a top attorney. My brother Costello, he do hair and he's a real estate broker.
Okay.
And in the neighborhood we grew up at, I remember an incident where my brother Tone got into it with another family member lived down, and the mother came down and told my mother, she said, I don't think your boy is going to be nothing, a bunch of hoodlums. But it turned out her boys was hoodlums and getting locked up, and we end up being successful, all of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, how was that? Tone, he the smallest one, right? What is he doing getting in the fights? Was he a fighter?
Uh, Tom, see, a lot of times, my mother had rules. When she wasn't at home, we couldn't be out on the street. You know, uh, 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 So we'd be at the house and we had fun in the house. And she got us a pool table and we compete on the pool table. And we love wrestling. So we used to compete wrestling in the basement. And Tom was always small in stature, but he had a heart of a lion. And no matter what you do with Tom, you can flip him, throw him, he always land on his feet. And he always was a leader kind of guy, and all his friends looked up to him. So
Mm.
he was a little he get all A's on his report card, and the citizenship he get the worst citizenship, you know.
He liked to talk a little bit, huh?
And this is another thing that was instilled to us we was growing up. If you do something wrong, uh, my mother would give us assignments, and people get on punishment. Our punishment was you would have to get a book and do an essay on the book and give it to my mother.
Okay.
And Tone did so many essays, I think he can write an encyclopedia, because he was always doing something, So it really helped him, to become the person he was.
And we should mention that uh we have to mention that Tone and Mike have passed. Tone more
Yeah.
recently, so May they rest in peace. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike had a battle with cancer. He fought with it. Uh, and Mike was the kind of man that do anything for you, for anybody, streetwalkers. We live in the area Harper and Dixon area. Every street walk over there knew him because he would take care of them. He would take them and give them something to eat. He'd give them a few dollars, and he wasn't the kind of person like me, my brother Tone, Cos. We like real nice things, cars and dress up. He just liked to be average. You can give him some Carhartt pants and then some boots, and he had money in his pocket. He's fine, you know. And he was the kind of person that can go out. He don't have to have a diamonds. He can go out and do jobs and get $2,000, $3,000 at any time because he worked on houses, electrical, plumbing. He did it all. But and I would have to say, out of all four of us, he was actually the more talented.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
uh, uh, and I was just the overseer of all them. And Tone was brilliant in reading and comprehending things, and
Mm-hmm.
Costello was the go out entrepreneur kind of guy. You know, so
Yeah.
we reached all realms of life. You know,
Mm.
and it all stemmed from my mother.
Yeah. So
You
when you
know,
look back at your mom, and you probably observed some of the mothers, young mothers today, um, what do you see that's different, or do you see a
it's
difference in the way kids are being raised and the way you and your brothers were raised? Because you say, like you said, they said a woman can't raise a man, but
and
you have
and
to
and
get.
not differ from that. I believe I know a woman can raise a man, but
Yes.
the time the era now is so different. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
don't have the same mothers, we don't have the same grandmothers, we don't have the same aunts, we don't have the same women in our life that I was exposed to, or maybe you was exposed to. You know, um, now you have these women, you can't tell them nothing, and then you have these men that don't help. And that's one of the things that when I had my daughter, because I'm gonna back up. When I got out of high school, actually my mother and all my brothers had moved to back to New Jersey, and I went
Okay.
in service, and and I
You
had
broke up a
my
little bit. You
first,
say you went where after high school?
huh?
You broke up. You say you went where after high school?
I went in service in the army.
Okay.
Out of high school, my last year of high school, my mother moved back to New Jersey with all my brothers and sisters, my brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and I stayed here for my last half semester to graduate high school. I had got a scholarship to go to Western Michigan to play basketball, but I had
Mm-hmm.
already signed up to go in the army, and the army delayed army, and I went on to the army because a lot of things was happening at that time. So my first furlough from the army, I came home and married my high school sweetheart, and and she came down and stayed with me in Oklahoma, and we couldn't make. We was too young. We just couldn't make it happen. But we had a daughter, you
Okay.
know. So I finished my time in the service, and I came home, and she was at this place. She was going from this state to that state looking for different jobs, and she had my daughter. And I said, "Why don't you let me keep her until you get situated?"
Right.
And I keep my daughter, and she ended up going her way, and my daughter was with me the rest of her life. Uh,
Okay.
and what helped me out was my mother saying, you can raise your daughter.
Yeah.
I showed you how to raise men. I showed you how to treat women. You can raise your daughter. And you got all the help. You get any help you need, you know. So uh 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 that's what that's why I say uh women can raise a man, because she not only showed me how to be a man,
Mhm.
showed me how to treat a woman
Okay.
and how to be respectful and do the right things, and do your responsibilities, So uh, today's I see a lot of today's women is not the same. You have some, but they're not the same.
What do you mean? What do you
Huh?
mean they not the same? What do you mean by they not the
They they
same?
they don't have the same understanding and fortitude like my mother. You know, I give you an instance. I see today's mothers let their sons do whatever, and if they wrong, they don't chastise them. They don't have no boundaries for them. They let them do everything, and and uh 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 if they do get in trouble, they be on their side and they don't tell them right from wrong. You know, I tell you, incident as a kid, my mother say you can earn and get whatever you want if you apply yourself.
Okay.
And one of the things, you don't steal nothing.
Right.
But I'm tell you a funny story. We all go to the grocery store. Me, Mike, Tone, Kaz, and my mother. She's
Mm-hmm.
driving. She take us in the grocery store, and her rules: when we get out the car, when we go in the store, don't you pick up nothing. Don't you ask for nothing. I'm gonna get my list, and that's gonna be it.
Right.
So we went in the store, came back in the car, got in the car. Mike was eating a candy bar. uh, hey, she scared all us straight. She showed us. She walked Mike back in that store, paid for the candy bar,
Mhm.
and he was on punishment for a month.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
So what was
he
punishment? He
had
got to
to.
stay in the
I
house?
forgot. I forgot was actually book he had to do a report on. But we was kids, and we had to. She gave us the books, and you had to read them, and you had to write about what you read and stuff, and it better be correct. Your spelling and everything. So I don't think a mother do that today.
I haven't heard of any. I think they take their games or their phones away from them today when they mess up.
Yeah.
And if they go outside, because they like to stay inside and play the games and not socialize with the other kids on the block or anything like that. Yeah, it's a little different.
and,
Yeah.
and, and we did a lot of playing outside, but we had rules also. When them street lights come on,
Right.
you better be on the porch.
Yeah.
And then this is the thing that I say I was responsible. If she look out and Mrs. Mike or Mrs. Tone, she didn't call for Mike or Tone, she called for me.
Mhm.
Where your brothers at? I was responsible. So whenever they do something, they would let me know. Hey man, I'm gonna go around the corner. I'm gonna be right here, and I'll be back. And a couple of times I had to pay the pipe because I didn't know where they were at.
Ooh.
You know, so that made me responsible for them, and I carry that all through my life. As even being grown, my brothers still feel I'm responsible for them. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, my brother Mike passed a battle with cancer. My brother Tone, the attorney, had the drastic drowning in this pool, and it's still heartfelt on that. And I'm the patriarch of the family, and all his kids look up to me, and I'm trying to we still trying to help. I'm still trying to help them through that. Also help myself through that. You
Right.
know, it's not a good situation with his wife, so that's where we at.
Yeah. Yeah. So with your daughters, if they do something, if your daughters do anything wrong, how did you punish them, or did you
Eh,
punish them?
okay, my daughters is funny because they when we get together, one of them mark me, and the other one to be the daughter, and they have a whole skit how when they was growing up, how I was, but I didn't have to discipline them that much because they listen
Mhm.
and they know I love them and I always talk to them, and I didn't hold nothing back, and but to them I was funny,
Okay.
and but I had my rules and that was it, uh 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 I didn't, young girls, I didn't want to meet no boys.
Oh.
You can't bring boys over because I don't want to meet them because no friends. They're not my friends, and they're not gonna be my friends. So that eliminated a lot of guys in their lives. My dad don't won't look at you like you think. You just can't come over and sit and talk because he's not gonna be your friend and all that. So it eliminated a lot of bad vibes with you on. And the reason I do this because you're gonna meet and you're gonna have boys in your life and they're gonna come and go.
Mhm.
I said uh, a lot of things that you need to do for yourself is get your education and be strong yourself. So you don't have to depend on anybody. You have to depend on the man because you got your own. I said, and just knowing when you meet somebody and you like them, it might last and it might not last. And 9 out of 10 times it don't last because you just meeting them and you
Right.
just having a relationship with them. And then later on, when you get older, you get more serious about it. Then I'll meet and talk to people. But as a kid, I didn't want to meet them boys. I didn't, and they knew it. And
Mhm.
I was firm. And my young daughter, T, she used to play volleyball, and I used to go to all the games. And sometimes street enforcement, we all in our gear, and I say I'll just stop by and see my daughter's game. And we
Uh-huh.
walk in there and shut the whole school up. And uh, and that helped her get respect from boys,
Mhm.
because they,
Yeah.
they know she had a father and a dad in her life that many things going on, he's gonna be there. So
Mhm.
uh, she complimented me on that, you know. And then my oldest daughter, uh, she went to Alabama State, and she her mother was down there, and her mother was sick at the time, and she said, well, "I'm gonna go down there," and she was going to school and trying to help out her mother and everything. Her mother ended up passing, and she ended up having the child, and I been down there visit her and stuff, and one day she called me and she said, "Dad, I'm on my way back to Detroit." I said, "You are?" She said, "I got a U-Haul truck. I got my I got my car on the back of the U-Haul truck, and I'll be there in the morning." And she
Wow.
came back, and she been there ever since. She's with the guy, and she said she don't take. She said I was raised by a real man. He wasn't a real man, and I knew it, and I wasn't accepting nothing else no more. I know where to come, and she came, and she been here ever since, and she's a supervisor for a tech company. My youngest T, she's a analyst for Blue Steel, and then I got a stepdaughter, Cheyenne. She's a property manager of the big property down off Jeff's behind Joe Lewis and boy, she's a property manager, and I'm
Okay.
so proud of all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then
So
I
now
then
when
I
you
got a granddaughter that's she moved down where her dad and her cousins at, and then she's in Alabama, and she's going to school. So I'm just proud, you know. I
yeah.
always want. I mean, I thought about having sons, but it's nothing more gratifying than girls in my life.
Okay. All right. I like that.
And
So now
that
when
all, and I'm telling you, that all stemmed from my mother.
all right.
You know, making me the person I am today. You know, and making my brothers the men they were. You know, and the men they are. You know,
Mhm.
and I'm saying that women can raise men. A
Okay.
real woman can raise men. You know, and
Okay.
I'm prime subject of that. You know.
Okay. What made your mom different than, I guess, these mothers today? I know she instilled the rules for you guys. Did she tell you about not fighting one another? You said she also taught y'all how to cook, clean, do everything. Did she also teach you how to handle your money as well?
Oh yeah. You know, she say money come and go. You know, you can. And she said that don't let that be a real factor in relationships. She said, if you're doing the right thing and handling your business, you're going to make money and it's going to come and it's going to go. She said,
Right.
but you manage it right and you'll go a long way. You know, uh, my mother was a shirt presser
Okay.
for a company out in Berkeley, Michigan.
Mhm.
And she used to get up in the morning and catch the bus. And we'd walk her to the bus. Me and my brother get up and walk her to the bus stop. And she go to the bus stop, catch the bus, and now we'll see her later when we get home from school and whatever we have to do. She handled things from her budget, and she had 4 boys and her, and we were some greedy guys because money come and go, and you have to do the right things with it. And
Right.
I end up being successful in handling my money, you know, uh, and same with my brothers, you know. Uh, so it came to a point where my mother started, her health started bothering, and we had to step in. And I mean, we stepped in. She didn't have to worry about medical. She didn't have to worry about food. She didn't have to worry about staying nowhere. And when it got real touchy with the hospice situation, uh, we refused to send her to a mental medical place. We took shifts and we stayed with her and we cooked. And I was working task force. My brother was doing a lot of things, and everybody had. But we came together and we made my mother comfortable because she didn't want it. She didn't want to go into a medical location. She wanted to stay at home, and that's where she passed at home. And and I still feel grateful because we did her wishes.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you said you were taught how to manage your money. Now you had a career while you were in the army or when you came out of the army. The reason why we call you gloves. Tell us about that.
yeah. Okay. Growing up, also I used to go to the boys' club. Uh, and I played basketball, but they had a little boxing thing, and I stood around and I watched the guy, and the guy told me, "Man, come on in here," and I ended up doing some boxing, and pretty good at it. I was Golden Gloves, boxing the Golden Gloves tournaments. AAU tournament, and then but I love basketball. So when I went to high school, I was on the junior varsity, and I just made the varsity, but it ended up my mother moved, so I stopped playing in my last year. But I ended up knowing somebody at Western. They got me a scholarship to go to Western, but I had already decided I was leaving Detroit. I needed to get away, so I had joined delayed army in the army, delayed entry. So
Okay.
I had already signed up, and once I went in the army, they had these smokers. They call them some
What's
boxing smokers, and I entered the boxing smokers, and I won. I won the Fort Sill, Oklahoma championship in my weight class, and I ended up boxing for the All Army boxing team. Uh, uh, I had a few fights, and then I end up saying, well, I was thinking about making a career out the army, but I was ready to come home. So I only stayed in for 3 years. So when I came home, when I came home, uh, I pursued my boxing career. I ended up going down to Crunk. Uh, uh, I went to some other Considine, a few other gyms, and I end up hooking up with this guy named Rudy Stringer, and he was my trainer, and Taylor Smith, and they convinced me. He said, "Man, you pretty good. You should turn pro." And I turned pro, and I started having the smokers. I had fought in Detroit. I fought in Philadelphia, Miami, Texas. I had ended up having 31 fights, but what messed my boxing career up, my manager, I had got a signed with a manager company, uh, uh, and his name is Alvin DiNapoli. And Alvin DiNapoli had my contract, and when I had got in the ratings, and he got sick and ended up passing. So
oh,
um, I was just hooking up. My trainer hooked me up with promoters and managers, fight managers, to get me fights. And I had a fight in Totowa, New Jersey, and I didn't. My purse. I didn't get paid because they sent my money to my manager's son because he had took over his estate and all his contracts. And his son lived in Florida, and I live here in Michigan. So I bought total on Jersey. I supposed to got like at that time about 15,000, and they took care of all my hotel, my medical, and all that stuff, physical and all that stuff, my expenses. But I had came home, but I didn't have any money from the fight. So I was constantly trying to get in contact with his Napoli's estate, his son, and was unable to. So I end up taking another fight down in Lubbock, Texas, and they guaranteed, well, this time we'll get it. But when the fight was over with, I didn't get my money again because somehow he got it.
wow.
And so I had came back from to Michigan. I went down to Florida, and about 3, 4 times before I can catch up with him. And I end up when I finally end up catching up with him, I got half of my money, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to do this no more. So I looked into my other career, and that was police.
Okay.
Actually, I was working. I started working for government for security down at the McNamara building and the federal courts. Then I applied for Detroit, and I just left the boxing alone because I
Mm,
needed a stable income. And on when I was in the army, I was in military police, so
okay.
that encouraged me to change for the police. And that so in 1985, I was hired by the police. and that got my career going. So I had left my boxing career. I had uh, 31 professional fights. I had 25 wins and 6 losses.
Mm. Do you remember those losses?
I remember them losses, and out of the 6 losses, uh, I lost 4 of them. Truly lost 4 of them. 2 of them didn't lose. I fought these guys in their hometown, and it was came to a decision, and I uh, actually won the fights. But when you fight in these people's hometown, and and this was at the end of my career, the end of uh, the later part of my boxing career. Uh, I didn't have the manager, and I didn't have the backing, so I was just freelancing. They just pulled me on the card, and now fighting this guy in his hometown, and I don't knock him out. Your chances is, they give it to him. That's what happened on two of my fights.
Did they always pay cash though, like that? You always got paid cash?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I had I had I had a thing with I fought on Don King's card, uh, uh, Texas,
Okay.
and he is the one that gave DiNapoli's son my purse.
Oh.
And I'm gonna tell you this. So when I get on the job, police department, my mom calls me and say, "Hey, you got this big letter from Internal Revenue. What you want me to do?" I said, "Well, I'll come by when I get off. I'll come by and look at it." So I go by there and open it up, and Internal Revenue said I owe them $73,532. So what
What'd you
happened? They
do?
say I had to hire a guy, accountant. I had to hire attorney, all that. So what happened was the cars that I fought on Don King's promotion,
Hmm.
it shows that he actually paid me a certain amount, excluding he didn't exclude that all my expenses and everything. He act like he just gave that money to me, but he
Oh.
didn't. So I had to prove that I didn't get that money.
Mm.
So at that time, I was doing pretty good. I had bought some property. I had bought a mother house. I had bought some property, and I was renting them out. And my attorney told me, he said, "Look here, uh, I'm gonna work everything out that I can." So I went to this meeting at Internal Revenue down there with the attorneys, and when the meeting was over with, I still didn't know shit. But
What you mean?
what I did know, that they knocked it down from 72,000 to 35,000.
Ooh.
So I paid. I had money put aside. I paid half of that, and I made arrangement for the rest.
Wow.
And Internal Revenue messed up the arrangement part, and my check from the police department was real limited. They had took it. They had took almost my whole check, and I said I made arrangements. What's the deal on that? So it took them 3 checks to straighten out my arrangement, and they say
Wow.
they don't give money back that you owe.
They do not. They do
Yeah,
not.
they do not give you money back that you
They do
owe.
not.
You know, and then they straighten out my arrangement, and I end up paying it off. It end up paying $32,572.
Wow. So you have a good lesson on how to manage your money.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because I'm
yeah.
like, you
And
got
and I had a
15,000.
bad, and I had to say this is a bad thing with Don King and his son Carl King.
Mm.
They were the ones that uh and it's a big circle with the boxing thing. they knew uh, my manager's people, so they looked out them more than they looked out for the fighter because I wasn't a fighter, you
Oh,
know.
okay.
So that's what really happened, you know. So I know that boxing game how it could be. I experienced it, but you know, hands on.
So
But
your boxing, I guess your boxing is kind of like these rappers that, or people who are singing. They get certain producers or whatever, and they take most of the money, but they didn't
oh
make the
yeah, it
song.
can't happen. Yeah, yeah, it
You
can't happen,
know,
you know.
right? You
And
gotta. I guess you
I
gotta know
was
for
on,
yourself.
and I was gonna sign with uh uh guy here in Detroit. Can't think of it.
Not Tommy Hearns.
Huh?
Not Tommy Hearns.
No, no, no. The one that his manager,
Oh, Emmanuel
Emmanuel
Stewart.
Stewart. Yeah,
Hmm.
I was gonna sign, but I was under contract with Nap, so he couldn't do nothing for me.
Oh,
Yeah, you know, at the time I had gotten the ratings. If I would have signed with him, I could have did better and got up, but it didn't happen. And
yeah,
and and that was one of the things my mother said. You know, things ain't meant for you. It's not meant for you, but you got to
right.
look at it for what it is. You know, she said, yeah, I know you want to do this and do that, but if this happened and this happened, you have to look a different way at things. You know,
Hmm.
you can't be mad about it. You have to do something about it. You
Right.
know, so I always did things about what I needed to do. You know, handle my responsibilities. You know, mine any way I can.
Right. Like I say, your mom was teaching you lessons about how to be the man and how to treat ladies. Have you taught your daughters how men are supposed to treat them? I remember you told a story about your mother never pumped gas for her car. She never washed her car because you or your stepdad would make sure that she had gas in her car.
That's what you know. You and then you know you had to be responsible. You know, take care of your mother. You know,
Right.
because she's sacrificing her time and everything to put food on your table, to make things right for you. So you got to make it easy for her. So
Right.
that was one of the things that I taught my daughters. You know, um, you got to be able to take care of yourself. You
Right.
know,
Right.
you can't depend on nobody to do the things that you need to do for yourself because there's no way that you have to wait around and somebody give you got to wait till they give you money to take care of your personal things that
Right.
you don't have to ask nobody for. You know, don't never put yourself in a situation like that. You know, you don't need to well, I gotta wait and see if I can get some money to get my personal female things. You know, that's something that you should be able to do regardless. You
Right.
know, and everything that my mother taught me, I taught them. You know, cook, clean, everything. So when you meet somebody that do all the things that I can do,
Yeah.
you got somebody that you can respect. You know, so my oldest daughter really took that to the heart. She don't, you know, I mean, she really don't play. I don't guys that she date. I don't meet them because she said he ain't ready to meet you.
Okay.
You know, and then I say you dating my. She said that no, let's not talk about it because that's a pass. You know, she dump them fast. You know, uh, so just like my granddaughter's father, you know, she tried and everything, but when she had enough, she had enough. You know,
Okay.
she said, I don't have to accept this from nobody. I'm not accepting it from nobody. I'm not settling for no. And she got in her truck. She had that U-Haul truck. and it pulled up, and it was one of them big U-Haul trucks with a car on the back of that
Wow.
mug, and she had all her stuff in there, and found her a place. Well, she stayed with me for a while and found her a place, and she be on, and I, this is amazing. I should send her money when she needed,
Mm-hmm.
and so she got situated. And one day she came to me and she gave me an envelope, and I said, "Oh, what's this?" She said, "This is money that I got from you that I at one time I needed." I said, "What?" She said, "I'm giving this back to you." I said, "Oh no,
Wow.
no, no."
Wow.
And that was something else that my mother had told all of us. She said, if you're able to give somebody some money, you were able. That means you don't have to get it back
Right.
because you was able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes with your family and not your friends, your family. If you
Right.
was able to help them at that time of need, you was able.
Right.
So you can chalk it up. And if it come back, good. If it's don't worry about it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
my daughter came to me and she had an envelope and I wouldn't even count it because I wouldn't accept it from her. But I told her, I said I was able to do it and was glad to do it for you. You know,
Wow.
yeah.
Mhm. All right, Gloves, we're going to take a break right here. Everybody stay tuned. Real Dad Speak. We'll be back in about 60 seconds. Don't go nowhere.
I want to talk about real dads today. Not fathers, but I want to talk about dads. Anybody can be a father. Take a real man to be a daddy, though. See, Father's Day changes as you get older. Sometimes being a father, just like being a mother, is a thankless job sometimes. You put your all in all into your kids, you don't know what you mean to them. And then, as you get older, when you're a kid, you don't necessarily understand or even appreciate what your dad is trying to do for you. But it's only when you get older, you step back, you move out the house, maybe even start a family on your own, you start to really realize, man, what that man meant to me, my dad, what he tried to teach me, all the lessons.
Welcome back, everybody, to Real Dad Speak. We're talking with Robert West, a.k.a. Gloves, a.k.a. Bob. Now, Gloves has taught us about all the lessons his mom has taught him and his brothers. Now, I got a question for you. Who taught you how to skate and ballroom dance? Because that's something else that I know your daughters love to see you do.
Well, skating was one of my activities. I used to go. We used to go like I used to go 3 times a week roller skating. So I got pretty good at it. And growing up, my mother liked to dance,
Oh, okay.
and she used to, on Fridays, we used to have little house parties for amongst us, turn on
Okay.
music, and she show us how to, old step and bop and stuff.
Oh,
And
all right.
me and my brother Costello, the youngest one, had the rhythm. My brother Tone didn't have no rhythm, and and Mike was, he do his own thing. But and I actually learned how to do dance with my mother.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All right, Gloves. This is the part of the show where I ask you my final 5 questions or fill in the blank. So, number one, what do you think all boys and girls need from their fathers?
They need to be in their life. Guidance to be there for them. They need a father in their life to get a man perspective of today everything.
So you said you were trying to show your daughters how to be independent and how to have their own stuff, to not have to wait, depend on a man for their personal items and stuff like that. You know, the young ladies today, they seem like they're after that dollar from a man. They've got social media saying, girls say, "Oh, that restaurant is not fancy enough," and all that kind of stuff. Uh, what would you say if your daughter said, "This guy wants to take me to Applebee, but I think I need to go to London Chop House or some other expensive restaurant"? What would you tell her?
Well, it's the person you're talking to. They not listening or understanding what you want. You have to put that in perspective. You like certain things. You like what you like.
Okay.
If people offering you things that you don't like, you don't have to accept.
Okay.
And that's what I always tell you. You always have your money and you can't go nowhere and depend on nobody to take care of your bill if it comes to that. You know,
Mhm. Okay. All right. Number three. What's the best advice your mother ever gave you?
be respectful.
Okay.
No matter, people have they falls and believe about stuff, and you might think different of it, but you don't have to be harsh about it. Just be respectful. Be able to listen to what they got to say.
Okay.
No matter what, be able to listen to what they got to say, and don't take it personal because that's their perspective or whatever it is.
Mhm. What's the best advice you've ever given your daughters?
Don't be afraid to tell me nothing. Tell me anything, no matter what it is. Because I'm not judging you. I ain't gonna never judge you. I'm not gonna always be there for you. So whatever you want to talk about, whatever you need advice from me, don't hesitate.
Okay. All right. And number five, this is a fill in the blank. The thing that makes me sleep good at night is blank.
What a good life I got. With the people, my wife, her family, my nephews and nieces and everybody that give me. I just feel good about thinking about everybody that's in my life.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Gloves. That's the end of this podcast episode. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you.
And I thank you for having me. Finally getting together and letting me expand on my life. I appreciate you, Sarah. You're my sister for life.
Yeah, you my brother for life. And we're golfers for life.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, everybody. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Real Dad Speak, shown on YouTube every Tuesday at 7 p.m. There's a new episode. Thank you for watching, and please comment if you have any comments. Thank you.